Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Cici. I have a 15-month-old named Grady, and this is my husband Greg, and he kindly agreed to do a Q&A with me of like the father's perspective of like postpartum, pregnancy, breastfeeding. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, I highly suggest it because I had a question forum for people to ask me questions for him. So let's go ahead and
hold on, what?
Get started. What?
You had people ask these questions? I thought these were just random questions.
These are questions people asked of like what's
Who
Greg's.
am I? Like what? Why did you do that?
There was
That's
like out of the like 7 or 8, 6 of them are from people, and then I made other 2 of like, oh, I wish someone would have asked. Wow. You know, I wish I knew a guy's perspective. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started.
So I really didn't do much, so that's really the perspective.
Okay, so the first question is, what was the hardest part for you to see? It's hard to say this. What's the hardest part for you to have to watch me go through postpartum?
Postpartum.
Or like it can even be pregnancy. It can be whatever. Like just like this new chapter that we've been in.
The sleep deprivation, because like there's really not much I was there, but like at the end of the day, he needs you more than he needs me. So that's hard. When you couldn't use the bathroom, you had diapers while you were changing diapers. That was that was rough, you know. So
yeah. And that's mainly because I decided, like, I was breastfeeding Grady, and what I didn't know, what I was naive about, is if Greg gave him a bottle overnight, I would have to wake up and pump to make sure my milk supply was keeping up with his needs.
So either way, you would have to wake up.
Either way, I would have to wake up, and I just made the decision I'd rather just have Grady on my boob than me having to wake up and be for real awake and having to mess with the pump and store milk away. That's like, you have to be like super awake for that. So that made sense for us. Not everyone's the same. If you formula feed, I have friends who breastfed and like their husband still did the bottle overnight. I never saw sense in that, but that's just my 2 cents. And he obviously didn't mind.
I did appreciate it. I did go get him, you know.
Still do.
Yeah, still do sometimes. So.
Yeah, especially when I couldn't move.
Yep.
Okay, was the first month of postpartum what you expected? So kind of like a piggyback off that question.
I consciously like didn't have any expectations, because I mean it's not something that you've ever gone through before, so why? I mean, I expected to not get a lot of sleep, and that was accurate. That's about it. I mean, outside of that, I really try not to have a lot of expectations that aren't realistic. I don't try to set myself up for failure in general.
I think that's a good mindset to have, because everything in postpartum is so circumstantial. It's hard to have expectations, but at least for me, I kind of subconsciously had expectations of certain things, or I thought things would go a certain way, and I didn't realize how hard it was.
Yeah, and even like hearing other people's stories, like they're not your kid. Every kid is different. It's not your situation. It's not your spouse. So really just base your life off your life.
Right, and don't compare, which is, it's hard to say. I mean, hard to do, easy to say. What's one thing you wish you knew about fatherhood?
I mean, he's only a year old. Like, I really don't feel like I'm that guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really know that much. So, yep. Like,
there's nothing you're like, damn, I wish someone would have told me this?
I mean, I had a dad. Like, I see not a stereotype, you know? Like, I don't know. Like, I've seen fathers. I know what they do. I mean, it's different when it's your own. I'm still learning.
Right. I think everyone, even our parents are still learning.
Yeah.
Because like it's the first time they've had like 30-year-olds, you know. It's like it's always a learning curve.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next. So what's your best advice for a first time dad?
To watch a lot of YouTube videos and do a lot of product reviews, and also look up like things for when she's going into labor to help her with the pain. Have the bag packed. Have your little routine down. Oh, practice the drive. That way you're not stressed out.
Yeah, we did that because I
Yeah.
went into labor unexpectedly, and Greg did something on my back, like a counter pressure to help with the pain. I think just him trying was enough for me, trying to figure out. I mean, we're all just figuring it out, but you trying to find the resources and just being there, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And no, and just like shut up, because you probably get on her nerves. So.
And like the mothers sometimes can just be really touched out at the end of the day. Like going, especially those first few months, especially if you're breastfeeding, like your baby is gonna want you all the time, and that's an adjustment in itself. And that dynamic shift, you really have to communicate with your partner and set those expectations of like, I'm still trying to figure out my relationship with my baby. He's still trying to build a relationship with Grady because you didn't have the same relationship that I had when I was pregnant with Grady, you know? So you had this whole new dynamic in your life that kind of just hit you. And I feel like that's something you've talked about, like it hit you once he was born versus me. I had this baby in me for 9 months.
Yeah, you were bonding the entire time. Like I was bonding with you more than I was bonding with him, because I didn't feel it. Like
Yeah,
you
that's
actually
normal.
literally felt him
Yeah.
inside of you. So like kicking around and stuff, I didn't feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a connection was built when he
Over
was
time.
born. Yeah. So
And there's some moms out there that don't feel the connection immediately, you know, and everyone's different, you know. You just have to build that relationship on your own terms. Okay, on to something that's a little bit lighter. What are your favorite baby products? Like name top 3 to 5.
I like the Nanit a lot. Really great stats and peace of mind, and we know how long he's been awake. The Hatch, anything that connects to your phone is great when you're a parent and you're trying to be lazy.
Yeah, some of our friends didn't like that. Like they were like, we wanted a separate monitor. For us, like, you're always on your phone, and it was much easier to look at Grady even when he was right. We had the camera when he was a newborn in our room in the bassinet, and we would be under the covers, like with our phone, like making sure he was okay because we didn't want to bother him. And I feel like for our life, it made way more sense having it. And then it comes in handy now when we go on date nights and stuff. We're able to see him.
Yeah, you can leave the house and still see your kid when you're
That's a huge
in-laws
pro.
or, you know, anybody who's watching your kid. Like you can see him sleeping.
Making
Even
sure.
from out of town, like it's over the internet. So that, the Hatch. Oh, and also with that, like people say that they don't want it on their phone. They want a separate monitor. If you have an iPad, you can do it that way. It connects to the Amazon
show, whatever.
Yeah. So
I always tell people that because that was something one of our friends told us last minute, and once we figured that out, we bought the Nanit like the next day, because that was our only like hesitation to getting the Nanit, was the whole one screen on your phone thing. And it does play in the background of your phone if you're wanting to do other apps. The sound does. I've talked about it a lot, so I love the Nanit. I think it was a smart purchase, and by accident I bought the floor stand.
Oh yeah, the floor
Versus
stand
the
is
wall mount.
much better. And then also swaddles.
The Hatch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Self-explanatory. And then
No, because people think that they can. I don't waste your time with blankets. Like don't do
I'm
that.
talking about the Hatch. Like you talked about the Hatch for a second. That's also your favorite product.
Oh yeah, it's just a sound machine that connects to your phone.
Yeah. Swaddles.
Yeah.
Which ones?
Anything that is, I would do something that zips and velcros at first. The nested bean is good, and also the sleep pea is good. Either one of those are great. they both do the same thing. The only thing added with the nested bean is that it has that little bean on it, so it's a little bit weighted. They literally are the same product. If you get the one that we're talking about with the Velcro, where they strap their arms down.
And he was so good about swaddling. So back to the night wakings. His Grady didn't sleep in the night until he was like 7 months. And I was like, swaddle. Like, all I would say in my sleep. And Greg would be in. Greg is like not almost blind, but his eyesight's not perfect. And he could literally like close his eyes and just swaddle him so many times. You were so good at it because he would pop out when I did that every time.
Yeah, it wasn't good enough. So we should have got the sleep pee sooner. Because the swaddling in the middle of the night, half blind, like, it's not fun. Something I don't like is and I wanted to get it. I bought it. Was the warmer for the wipes. I like the idea.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't pull out the same way.
It dries them out too. Maybe we just had a bad one, but Grady cried no matter what. I know some people swear about a wipe warmer. Another thing about the swaddling too is that why do people even get like a blanket swaddle? Like, why in the middle of the night? Like, why would you want to do that?
I mean, I think like affordability, but the thing is, like,
there's cheaper
people
Velcro ones.
End up buying like 3 or 4 blanket swaddles, and they can just get 1 or 2 of the Velcro ones, and they'll be good to go.
I really thought like I was gonna use the blanket swaddles all the time, and they don't work at all.
If you got a strong baby.
Like, I think, God willing, when we have our second kid, hopefully, whenever that happens, I don't even think I'm gonna bring the sleep pee and the nested bean to the hospital. Like, I'm not even gonna do the hospital blanket because that was annoying too. In the hospital, the nurses are like magicians. Like, they know how to do it so quick. And when you're a first-time parent, you're like trying to do it like you're half asleep and you're terrified. Or, I mean, at least for me, like, I
hated being in the hospital.
It was awful, probably because of the pandemic too. But that was one thing. It just wasn't the expectation that I had. Like, I don't know if it goes back, like, being a black woman, but like when I gave birth, I had a really good experience, but like postpartum section of it wasn't the best for me. Like, the nurse didn't tell me how to like do my pad and underwear and like the water bottle thing. I've seen so many people on here say, oh yeah, the nurse will show you. They didn't show me how to do any of that, how to like take care of anything down there. They didn't show me any of that. My friend who had a similar experience that I did was on way heavy like narcotics. I was only on Tylenol, but I said I wasn't in that much pain. Maybe she said she was in a lot of pain. I don't know. But they didn't help us at all. I don't know if it was like COVID related, but they didn't help us at all. Like, it was not, people say, oh, just wait until you get home. Like, that's when it hits. It wasn't that much of a difference when we got home because they really didn't help us in the hospital at all.
Yeah, the only thing that changed, he didn't cry as much overnight.
Yeah, because she did warn us like the first 24 hours.
Yeah, they warned us about that, so he cried more at home. So
if they don't tell you, like, the first 24 hours is like they are so tired from birth that they kind of just sleep, and it's even hard to nurse. You have to like wake up your baby a lot. Grady always fell asleep on the boob. I think, yeah, he always was doing that. But yeah, that's just some good insight there. Okay, so what was the hardest during Grady's first year for you?
Hardest what?
Like, just hardest, what was the most challenging in his first year? You don't know? I'm trying to. What is
the point of focusing on the bad thing? I wasn't like I wasn't in the mindset to give an advice column, so I had no idea what this was. So I hadn't been thinking about like. Okay,
so switch it. Maybe
helping people.
What is the?
I was just like, I'm trying to be. It's Sunday. I gotta work tomorrow. I do not feel like being out. Negative energy, not thinking like that. So I don't know. Everything's great.
Okay, what's been the best moments in this first year then?
Just having him around, watching him walk around, smiling at everybody.
He loves talking to
Waking
everybody.
up, blowing kisses.
Yeah, and when he's in a really good mood, like when he's had a really good like night of sleep, he'll stand in his crib and go, and just blow a kiss when we walk in, and it's so cute. I need to get it on
Hearing him
camera.
say bye-bye all the time.
This is a good question. I feel like you'll know more of the answer to, since it's not negative. How do you support a breastfeeding partner?
Food. That's it.
I think they mean like, what can the man do when the woman is predominantly feeding the baby, like not even really doing bottles. 'Cause I didn't really do that many bottles.
Honestly, you just need food. And to carry the baby to you.
I will say, I'm going to speak on his behalf.
I don't know what I did.
Because I can, yeah, water and food are a big one. Like not having to think about that, like when you're breastfeeding, like.
In your own time, because.
You're chained to a clock.
Because you feel like overwhelmed because you're always having to do something for somebody else.
Worry about it.
Yeah.
But what he did that really set a good foundation for me that I will appreciate to this day, because I think it put me on the best foot to breastfeed, is when I was learning the latching process, Greg was there with me the whole time. Like in the hospital, he was really paying attention to the lactation consultant. It wasn't just me, lactation consultant, and Grady. It wasn't a very isolating experience in that sense. Like he was a true partner in that way. And also when we got home and Grady was a few days old, he was sitting there and helping me latch him to my boob. And that really helped because I really couldn't see him that well. I'm pretty big chested, and Grady was so, I guess his head was so small, I really couldn't see his mouth that good. The angle was bad. So Greg would literally like help me latch and remember what they said in the hospital. And I think that helped me have a good latch early on. And yeah,
because I mean I knew that was like a hard thing for some people. So I just thought that me helping would help. So
and he would do the syringe, and then like if I was like, I need you to feed him a bottle, like you always did it. And those first like 6 to 8 months, if you're exclusively breastfeeding, are really challenging because they need all their everything is from you until they really start to digest solid food, is when you really can start spreading those windows out and you have a little bit more freedom. So really until like the first year, like I would say towards like 10 or 11 months is when I felt like I could really leave the house and I'm like, okay, my son's okay. He'll be well fed because he can eat whatever he needs to eat outside of breast milk.
I'll say the lactation consultant actually got me involved too.
She did.
So like you might not have a good one, so just speak up. We did it
at first.
So to speak up.
I was very like timid. Like I just was like in a really out of body experience in the hospital, and I really didn't know what to do. I was very like out of my element. What? What do you mean no pun intended? What did I say?
You said out of body.
Okay.
Something, a body came out of your body.
Oh, I get it.
It's not funny.
And the first one, because they're nurses, so I think they work like 12-hour shifts. Anyway, so the first one was not very nice, and she did not force herself. The second lady, like she forced herself onto us, and she really was like, no, you're walking out of here and you're gonna be confident in breastfeeding. And she spent like 45 minutes in our room and made us watch a video together. And she gave me the best tips. And then you just learn as your baby gets older, you figure out what works best for you. And sometimes that might not even be breastfeeding at all. So I know that's a hard decision to make. But yeah, that's really all the questions that they had for you.
Great.
Do you have anything else to say?
I'm happy to be on the channel. Subscribe, smash the like button. I don't know. What do you say? What do you do?
Well,
rate, subscribe, smash the like button. I don't know. What do you do?
I'm still learning. Well, those are all the questions that we had.
What tips do you have for people? And put it in the comments down below.
You're natural. You're really good. You're better than me with all of that. I'm so awkward. I'm like and subscribe. Like there's nothing else I can say.
Yeah, force them.
So if you have any more questions for us down below about anything. If you could be postpartum, pregnancy, marriage.
What you want to see next?
Greg and I
will not be in the next video, but I will be around. So if you guys have,
we could have a part 2. And a little behind a backstory. Greg and I have been married for almost 5 years. We've been together for almost 8.
Wow.
Man. And we live in Nashville, and we have 2 dogs, and we love living our lives. And
let Cici know what videos you would like to see next with just her in it. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye, guys.